Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm just finishing setting this up. Oh, I forgot my sunglasses. I was gonna play the harmonica for y'all, but can't find where I put it. So, today in the stream, we're gonna be. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay. But today we're gonna be. I released a video yesterday about my game, like a promotional, funny little video, where I kind of explain the main goal of my game, kind of the motivations behind it. And so I'm going to be reading some feedback I got from an indie game promo. It's called Indie Game Promo, I believe, on Facebook group. And so sometimes I get an interesting combination of feedback. Sometimes it's very vitriolic, so I just kind of want to read it. Some of it I got was good feedback, and I just kind of want to. I think it's important as a game designer. It's one of the most important things to receive feedback from all sorts of people. So figure might as well. That's just as important as any other process of game development. So I might as well stream it live and kind of explain my perspective. After that, we'll make some levels in the game and play it a little bit. If you are new to the stream, just to introduce myself, my name is Dylan, and I'm the creator, the solo developer of this game, Emoji Pop. It's still in development, but it's live. It's a totally playable game, and you can play it at playemojipop.com. So the game is a bubble shooter. It's like a casual mobile puzzle game, but I think it's a little pumped up from your typical casual mobile puzzle games. And one of the coolest things about it is that you can unlock emoji obstacles that change the gameplay by playing, and you can use those emojis that you unlock to also create your very own levels. So if you hit this at the bottom, if you hit a pencil button, it opens up the level creator, and you can just pick which emojis you want to be in the level. You can draw them and create your own level, and there's a lot of cool tools that allow you to make really cool levels. And I'm adding more and more. My goal is eventually I want to have such insane creative potential for your level making that I want creators to be able to make levels that go viral. In the same way that like Minecraft creations go viral based on Hogwarts or whatever it is, I want to create a robust logic system and enough crazy emoji obstacles to allow players to create games of all sorts within these bubble shooter levels. So someday I want players to be able to make like Tic-Tac-Toe or Space Invaders or all these kinds of arcade games and stuff like that. So all that stuff is in development, but I have a lot of cool emojis in the game already. I think way cooler than any mobile puzzle game, any bubble shooter on the market today. I think my emojis are way more skill-based, which really expand what's possible in the design of the games. I'm going to be checking the chat, so let me know if you have any feedback. I just saw the video on Indie Game Promo and now found your stream. Awesome. Let me know if you have any questions or feedback. Right now, I think I want to start off reading some feedback I got on that video. So the video, you can find it in this Indie Game Promo group. I think it's a really great group to belong to. I find putting my game out there on platforms like Twitter is all right, but this Facebook group specifically, there's a lot of people that like check it a lot and are very active on it. So I find it like a really great resource if you're an indie game developer. So I'm gonna read some comments. The thrust of the video was, so one problem, I've worked in mobile indie games for like 5 years or something now, and a big problem that I've noticed is that indie game developers and people who are gamers, they often critique mobile puzzle games like Candy Crush and its many clones. They critique these games as being evil, manipulative, addictive, and I think there's some truth to that. I think manipulation is an inherent aspect of an interactive medium, to be frank. But I think those games are pretty manipulative in a lot of ways, and in a lot of ways we don't even discuss. But if we just attack these companies verbally, we don't get anything from that. We only deter other indie game developers from taking on their dominance. So we're only upholding this establishment in the mobile game industry, and they continue to make the same manipulative designs, and there's nothing to challenge them. So my whole thinking is, like, I made this joke like, your days are numbered, Candy Crush. We're gonna take you on. What I really mean by that is, I hope to inspire. Maybe my game won't become the next Candy Crush. That's a very likely possibility, obviously. But I think I want my game to inspire other indie devs to embrace the design practices that these giant companies use to make a lot of money. I want to translate them in ways so that our games can achieve a lot of success without manipulating players while reducing the evil of these kinds of games. And I think I've done that in my game, and I explained in the video how I do that. One of the biggest reasons I do that is the Candy Crush games are Sega map games, meaning you have to beat every level in order to keep progressing, which means you could get stuck on a level for weeks, and basically the game is just squeezing you, trying to get you to spend money, and that inherently sets the game against the player. It creates a negative relationship. Interesting game idea. UI needs to be improved ASAP. That's a really good comment. I'd love to know specifically how you think UI should be improved or what's wrong with it, but that's feedback I've gotten a lot. I think that totally makes sense. I'd love to hear more about that. Thank you so much for that feedback, Mattman PS2. Yeah, so I kind of lost my train of thought there. So we basically need to be taking on these companies by making our own versions of the games that are not as manipulative. And what another way I do that is, I think if we're gonna ask developers to, if we're gonna ask players to spend a lot of money in games or any money at all, I think it's good to have it have a positive impact on their life. Like, you can't just be sucking hundreds of players out of Candy Crush players and then offering them no real world value, because you're only taking a negative relationship between you and the game and making it like an abusive one. So obviously we can do things to limit the money people spend, which is something I'm going to do. Right now the game is totally free though. But another way I want to benefit players is by offering this level creation tool and allowing players to make their own levels. And I call this revolutionary. A lot of people disagree with me so far, but I think it's revolutionary because normally to make games, you have to learn a programming language or some system of logic, and it's a barrier to entry. This game can be played for anyone with, regardless of their experience, from ages 3 on. You can start making games just by dragging and moving things around. So it's kind of like Mario Maker. It's got that same appeal. But the big advantage it has over games like Mario Maker is that, for example, in Mario Maker, you need a Nintendo Switch. You need to have the Mario Maker software. You need to be subscribed to the annual Nintendo Online Pass. In order to get someone to play your level, you have to get lucky that they find it in the in-game browser features or whatever, which is unlikely that it gets much attention since there's so many levels being made. You could share it online on your own, your Mario Maker level, on Twitter or something, but then players would have to write down these long, complicated codes and re-enter them into their Nintendo Switches. It's not elegant at all, and it's very limiting for your audience. Not that many people out there can play your level. But in Emoji Pop, although it might not be as flashy as like a Mario puzzle platformer game, the advantage is the audience is huge because any person on the world who's connected to the internet can play your level with just touching the link that you send. So that makes the audience huge across all devices. So I think that's a huge advantage that this game has over other games. You can really start gaining practical game design skills, and you can watch my level design tutorials and level design streams, and you can become a level designer making games like this. You can economically benefit from this regardless of your education or whatever. If you're interested in game design, I believe you can learn game design by making these bubble shooter levels, and I know that because that is how I learned game design. I got lucky to get a job in the industry, really lucky, as a level designer making bubble shooter levels, and I became a game designer by making levels all day for years. It's such a rich art form making these levels, especially because each level kind of plays like its own game depending on what mechanics you bring to it. So I think it's a great tool, and you learn a lot about level design across all genres just by mastering level design in one sector. So let's read some feedback. Let me make sure no one is chatting. Looks like we're good. I've got to check the Facebook separately for now, so feel free to comment in there as well. So let's go over some of the feedback that I got. So that's here. And again, this is the indie game promo group. All right. So I got some good feedback and some feedback that was kind of like not so good. The worst comments were deleted. There were a couple people who like were extremely rude to an insane degree, where I questioned their insanity, honestly. But those were, I wanted to stream those comments because they were hilarious, but someone deleted them. I didn't even flag them or anything, which is too bad. Alright, Allen Olmsted said, alright, I'll try to give you some honest feedback. You do have a few cool mechanics for your bubble shooter, however, the overall level of quality is much lower than the current top bubble shooters in the market. So I would disagree with that. If you watch the video, I think in some ways you could argue the graphical quality is lower, but gameplay-wise, I consider the bubble shooters on the app stores today to be broken. I don't even consider them to be complete games. They don't fully explore the space at all. The biggest reason I go into why they're broken is because these bubble shooters in the market, like Panda Pop and Bubble Witch Sega 3, they follow the Sega map model, which is if you ever get stuck in a level, then you have to keep playing it infinitely until you finally win. And so by getting players stuck permanently like that, that's a problem on bubble shooters because bubble shooters are more skill-based. Players are not confident in their ability to eventually succeed like they are in match 3s because match 3s are more based in chance. So it feels more like a slot machine where when you play a Toon Blast level over and over again, you always feel like your next time could be your lucky break. The game balances skill and chance in such a way that you're always confident that you can win eventually. But in bubble shooters, especially at the beginning, if you're just starting, if you lose a level a few times, which is easy to do for new players because bubble shooters are more complex, they're more skill-based, then that player is going to feel so frustrated and feel like they're dumb or the game is cheating them, and they'll quit right away. And that leads to the games on the app stores really dumbing down their games. They remove all skill, and they don't really engage the fans of bubble shooters because the games are so boring for the first 1,000 levels or so. So I believe that's why my bubble shooter is better than bubble shooters in the market. It's still in live development, and I'm actively working on everything. I feel like the graphics right now in the game are pretty low res just because I don't care about the graphics that much now, even though I know that's insane to some of the people in this group. They're like, how could you show this state? Let's just look at the game for a second too. So one of the cool things I think I'm doing is, so the graphics might not look like Candy Crush level polish, but they're real world emojis. So the game is made using entirely real world emojis, which I think is embracing the emoji aesthetic, and I think it's way better than if they look like, I don't know, maybe someday I could see myself switching, like hiring an artist and having a really polished, cute style, but I don't think I want that. I think that screams towards a certain audience, whereas I want mine to be more general. And I think that these iconic emojis that are real world emojis, I think it's just cool that I built the game out of that, and I think it kind of, I don't know, it has a certain character in its own. So that's why, I don't know, I kind of forgot why I was talking about that. What was the comment? Oh yeah, so talking about the quality compared to the App Store quality, but I really appreciate the feedback though. That was well said and everything. Is there any meta that the puzzle levels feed into? In my opinion, that's one of the biggest places for innovation in that genre. I think that is an amazing opinion, and I think that shows that you're pretty familiar with the psychology of mobile puzzle game players in the casual market, at least. A lot of people don't really understand that. So he's saying, Allen, whoever this person is saying that there needs to be a meta, and this is like the best place for innovation. So we see that in the match 3 space, the meta becoming more complex and more engaging for players, and that leads to the games kind of surpassing the previous games. So Homescapes and Gardenscapes, they have a certain like narrative kind of meta, and it gives a reason for match 3 players who might be burnt out of the genre to play it again with a new appeal. So that's why the meta is so important. The meta is important psychologically because mobile puzzle games, they aren't about the gameplay. they get judged. Some people who don't understand the psychology of mobile puzzle game players, they say like, "Oh, the gameplay is no good" or whatever. It's not about the gameplay in mobile puzzle games. It's about this ongoing treadmill of progress that fills like the idle moments of our lives, and we kind of need something productive. It makes us feel productive when there's nothing productive to do, and it's kind of like I don't know. It gets described in evil kind of ways, like it's like this experiment. Like I forget what what's called, like the rat in the box who's hitting the button or whatever. Um, so the meta kind of gives you that like long term value that for look at a game like 2048. That's a game that got really popular for a short period of time and then died out. Why? Because there's no long term value. No one plays a mobile puzzle game for the gameplay. They play it for the long term value, and so that's why meta is so important. And I do have some meta elements which haven't described at all because they're kind of still in development. But in the game there's a like task tab kind of page where you can earn experience by completing tasks, and by earning this experience you rank up, which rewards you with bonus moves and boosters. But it also gives you coins that you can use to change your emoji avatar. And I'm making all of these assets that allow you to dress up your emoji in all these crazy ways. And so you can you can kind of the meta is right now it's kind of around the avatar that you're building, which kind of gets exhibited alongside your levels that you make and stuff like that, and competitive features in the future. There's also these like not meta, but they're like events. They're also kind of focused on the long-term appeal and value of the game, and so like there's a mini map where you're trying to beat 3 levels in a row in order to get the prize, or there's a mini level where every time you get a star, you get to move towards this, which gives you... So these are just like reward loops. They're not meta as much as the avatar is. But I think the real meta is... It's not meta as we commonly define it, but I think that the level editor in my game creates way more real long-term value for some players at least. Players will... I want to create a community so that the meta kind of exists around the game. It's people who are giving feedback for how the game should progress and helping decide designs decisions and what I should tackle first, and making content for the game to go in the game. So I think there's a lot in terms of long-term value that kind of supplants some of the need for a meta. But I agree with you. Like that's something I should totally consider more. Like I would love to hear your thoughts on what kind of metas could exist within these bubble shooter games, because that's something that they're obviously trying to figure out. Some of the big contenders, I'm sure their next bubble shooters will be focused on this meta. I don't know but they'll probably do that without fixing the core problem with bubble shooters. Let's go back to the comment. Are these graphics placeholder? You need high quality art, assets, and animations to be considered in the realm of other casual mobile games. I disagree. I think that's the way it seems, but I disagree. As I said, they're using real world emojis, which I think is really cool. I don't have the resources to hire an artist right now. I don't really think that's the most important thing right now. Like that's something I can do if I ever want to throw my game in the App Store, which I'm always ready to do. I can always just quickly have someone create some assets. Like I just want to get my game out there and get feedback on the gameplay. That's good feedback though. It's unfortunate that big companies focus so much on trying to profit, but what is your monetization strategy? Having one isn't still important for our game success. I think that's a really good point. So right now I'm just focused on making the best game possible and getting as many people to play it and involved in its future as possible. And then I'm going to release a crowdfunding campaign so that instead of buying boosters in the game, you'll subscribe for like $1 a month or $5 a month or $10 a month. And every month I'll give you like a booster chest that gives you a bunch of in-game rewards. That kind of limits the amount of money you can spend. It's not like I'm trying to nickel and dime you until you spend like hundreds of dollars in a month. Like there's gonna be a limit. And at each stage, not only do you get in-game boosters, but you'll get access to new in-game features that I'm working on, and also out-of-game features. So if you're really interested in developing games and making levels and stuff like that, I'm going to have really big rewards for those players. Um, I'm going to be working with them one on one, for example, in order to create content in the game and really feature their social media within the game and stuff like that. Also, like merchandise and stuff like that. So that's going to be my monetization strategy. It's going to be more personal and I think more healthy than the monetization strategy of other larger companies. I hope making this game gives you some valuable experience. Not there yet. Thank you for that awesome feedback. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna talk. I'm not gonna respond to that because I have a lot of thoughts on that. But thank you for that feedback. Keep it up. I'm entertained by the videos you have. So that's a great compliment. Not only I don't really see myself as just a game developer. I want to be a YouTuber as well, which I know sounds crazy and kind of maybe delimits my status as a game designer. But I'm a game designer in the sense that I think game design is interactive experiences, and I see that as the game I'm making, but also as the YouTube videos and Twitch streams where I engage people. I think these videos I'm making are just as essential to the game experience as the game itself. Great stuff. Hire a UI designer to overhaul it. The amount of white space in the game is a pass. So I think that's an interesting comment I'd like to hear more about. I think this is really good feedback as well. This is definitely, these comments right here are the best feedback I got, like the best well stated and everything. And it's like critical, but very like, I don't know, it's not mean. So I really like that. Appreciate the amount of work that went into this. You need a UI designer. So yeah, white space. So that's something, I'm not a UI designer obviously, so this is great to hear this stuff. But white space in the game. So the background on the puzzle is white because the puzzle takes up most of the board basically. Most Panda Pop kind of games, bubble shooter games on the market, they have like colorful background. But I think that's it would be kind of silly for me to do that, I think. Right now the aesthetic is kind of like a minimal emoji based aesthetic, and things in the background just make it harder to read what's on the board, and I'm focused on making good gameplay, not making it like I'm not trying to cater to like, I don't know, a certain audience that needs to have pretty pictures everywhere, like it's white because that is the best for viewing the board. But I bet you're right that there might be like other things I could put in the background that don't draw attention away from the board, but also maybe are easier in the eye or something. I don't know. For now, like I don't know, I'm not really too concerned about that. A lot of people have left a comment about UI design though. I think that's a good feedback. So I need to think about all that. I'll go back. This one's a funny comment. I'll check the chat. When did you release, and are you tracking any analytical data for players to see how they like it? Not at all. Actually, not really. So again, I know this sounds crazy, but I could have implemented Google Analytics and like gotten analytics for the game, but I don't care about that right now actually, which is weird, I know. And if I was in the industry making a game, like I would look really down upon someone at my workplace not caring about analytics. That would be insane. But I'm a solo developer and I have there's so many ways, I can spend my time in order to better my game that I don't really feel like taking the time to like do the analytics right now, because I think there's so many bigger fish to fry. But what I do see is when people create accounts, I see how many people create accounts per day in the game, which a lot of people play the game and don't create an account, but I do see when people create accounts and I can monitor their progress from there. If you don't create an account though, which is most people who play, I don't really see your gameplay session. So I have been kind of tracking like people who play the game and seeing how far they get or how many sessions they have and stuff like that, or how they do on the levels. So that's a good question. I guess I kind of released a couple weeks ago, but I don't know. To me, I don't know. My vantage point on game development, and with this game especially, is so different from everyone's status quo kind of mindset. Not saying that that's a bad mindset, just that it's different. I didn't really just release it all of a sudden. It's just like a live game that's just kind of, it's like it's standing up kind of, and I can't really pinpoint at what point. It's kind of like a baby. At what point does the baby in the mom become a baby, Like, So I don't really know when I don't really have a specific release date. I know that's a really stupid way of answering that question. All right, let's go back to the chat. This one's a funny comment. Please stop. This is genuinely worrying. I think that's really funny. He's probably serious, but I take it as a joke because I don't really take myself seriously. Like in the videos, especially, like I like to I have a weird dry humor, and why would I make a boring video just dully showing off gameplay, without me featuring in it? Like, it's like when I see someone just post videos of just the gameplay and they're just focused on the gameplay. Like, some people will probably respect that, but I think that's boring, and to me it signals that you don't really care that much about getting the game out there. I'm trying to make videos that kind of catch your eye and are humorous and stuff. And I'm okay looking like an idiot. I'm wearing sunglasses inside, so obviously. What does corporately made games even mean? It means games made by large entertainment companies and not smaller developers. And the distinction there is that smaller developers will probably care more about the audience and treating them with respect, whereas corporately made games, also, they don't really know what the hell they're doing in some ways, I would say. Like, some of these corporate... I distinguish them as corporately made games because many of them have existed since the beginning of this mobile casual gaming boom around 2012 or whatever. And I think they got really lucky at the beginning, some of them. And what led to their success was just kind of luck because there weren't many competitors at the time. And so they've like doubled down on things that got them success, but really it was just luck, and they're doubling down on the wrong things. And so I think it's kind of a mess, some of these studios. They're not able to explore new ideas. For example, when I'm talking about with the bubble shooter, how we need to change the way they're designed to be different than Match 3's because they're broken using the Saga map. These developers, I'm guessing they don't even think about this stuff. They just make all these assumptions when they make their games that totally defies psychology and all this other stuff. So that's kind of why I'm kind of... And they're always accused of making manipulative, addicting games and lying about the way chance works in them and stuff like that. So that's why I think it's important to kind of distinguish ourselves. I take it you're trying to turn a profit and maybe have dreams of building your own team and achieving Candy Crush-like success. I don't plan on making several billions of dollars, even though I do say that in the video as a joke. But I would like to make this game in order to feed myself and to support the game. So, as I said, not in the video, but elsewhere, I want to eventually create a Kickstarter kind of a Patreon thing, and all that money, instead of it just bloating up a giant company, I want it just to go directly into the game. So I've said so many reasons why I think Emoji Pop is healthier than the corporately made games on the app stores, but that's another reason. The money they spend goes into making the game better. They're literally putting money into making the game better, and although that's probably true to an extent elsewhere, I don't know, like, in the other companies are looking to make a profit and reward shareholders, not to funnel all profits back into making the best game possible. And so that's what I'm focused on doing. Fastest thing that's going to kill your chances at success in this business is ego or personal bias. I don't even know what to think about that. And when that doesn't work out, rather learn from those corporately made games because they must be doing something right. So I'm definitely learning from them because I was there, I'm telling all these people, like, I don't want to sound like told someone I think I know more than you on this topic because I'm a first resource. I'm a primary source. I've been there. I've made these games. I've seen the problems. I've seen it happen multiple times. I'm not saying that to this person or whatever. And I told them, look at the video. I'm definitely learning from their mistakes and what they do right and what they do wrong. I think I'm learning from them more than anyone else because no one else is replicating their success. No one is taking their proven successful design practices and even touching them. So I think I'm learning more from these giant corporations than any other game developer, especially the ones commenting on some of these posts. Okay, this one is an interesting chain. Browser only or native app? Browser games are not popular. See all the layoffs at Kongregate. From the video, your next major hurdle seems to be juice. There's none in your game. Visual fidelity is the thing to address. I don't care about that stuff. I'm trying to make the coolest game possible, and I think it's interesting. I feel like, I don't know, I didn't realize people would be so focused on the art. I think that's an interesting reflection of their gaming philosophy, kind of. Like, to me, I just want to keep making the game cooler so that players can make levels that go viral and there's crazy features in the game, and they're just focusing on the art, and the art is easy to fix, and also the art is real world emojis, so that's kind of why it looks the way it does. So it's a browser game. Eventually I'm going to release it on the app stores in a different version that's more catered towards the casual audience. There's no reason a native Android I'm talking about leveraging user-generated content, and that's part of the reason why it's online, because anyone in the world can play your level, click of the button, without the need to install software or anything like that. There's no reason a native Android app can't have UGC. Yeah, they can have user-generated content, but like I said, it can't be. In the video, I talked about how you can just anyone in the world can play it online. It's available on all devices, computers and mobile devices together, and by taking place on the internet, it really maximizes virality. And for example, if I release this game online but also in the App Store, then all the money I'm making on my website, App Store is going to want a piece of that. So that would be ridiculous of me to fork over all my money to Apple for my website just because I have an app. So that's why I'm trying to distinguish the app from the web game. So I guess he typed a really long response and then it got deleted because it was too long. Big question, who is your target demographic? If it's casual, the browser is wrong. Facebook games are in huge decline. I don't think they're in huge decline. But there's a lot of casual gamers that play their games online. That's a huge audience, and it's just as easy to go to the online game than the App Store. So like, I know there's a lot of people who comment like, this is the way things are done always though, but I'm like, yeah, but I'm doing them differently. So everyone's like, if it's casual, it has to be on the App Store. That's what everyone does. And I'm like, well, being on the App Store doesn't really do anything for me. They take 30% of my revenue, and it's just as easy to go to the App Store than the website. So why funnel everyone to the App Store when I want them to go into the website, you know? But again, until I prove that, everyone, of course, will be like, even in the industry, everyone's like, this is the way it's done. Like, you got to design your games like Master Chief. The bubble shooters, you got to do it because that's the thing that works, and we don't even question it. Like, I don't fall for that status quo, like, do what everyone else does. I try to come up with my own best approach based on the reality and my own analysis. Are we a joke to you? Only some of you. Let me make sure no one's chatting. Good. LOL. Just LOL. You plan to tackle Candy Crush by creating a vastly inferior game and relying on a gamer community to help fund it? Is this your first ever game? Nothing about this feels thought out at all. So like this is pretty tame compared to some of the comments, but this comment by Gus is what I'm talking about. Like, when you make mobile kind of puzzle games, when you make games that involve typical like monetization strategies that are different than, you know, what they would like to see in the industry, you're gonna get feedback like this, like, oh, your game sucks, this is stupid, you're stupid. I've gotten 1,000 of those comments, which is really weird from a game designer. Like, it's so funny that you would feel the need to, you're so threatened by this game and this approach and offended by what I'm doing that you feel the need to tell me that I suck and that's it. I think those people are hilarious. I really like those comments. And these comments only just propelled me up the top trending posts as well, so they're good for that reason. This music sounds like it belongs in A Hat in Time. That's funny, I guess. I don't even know what that is. Okay, here's a comment. Archbish. It's stupid because you take hyper casual game, which is meant to be quick and fun. All right, first off, match shooters and bubble shooters are not hyper casual games. Hyper casual games are like really quick, like one-off experiences that you can play over and over again. Whereas puzzle games, I don't know. It's funny I have to explain this. They're long-term. It's all about the long-term retention and getting players engaged for the long run. So I don't know if I should even keep reading this at this point. Saying it can dethrone Candy Crush is also stupid because 90% of Candy Crush player base is hyper casual lovers. Hyper casual, okay, what I don't they won't like okay, this person doesn't know what this is talking about. There's nothing to talk about here, I guess. Yeah, so this is the thing that I hate the most. I'm glad this person sent me this. Sometimes there's some browsers I think that the game might not work on, but so this person was playing on Chrome in desktop, but that's what I'm playing in right now too, so I don't understand why their game isn't working. I'm guessing their browser hasn't been updated. I would like my game to work regardless of your browser updated though, so like part of my job is just like going through all these browsers and different versions and making sure they all run the same kind of, so it's kind of a struggle. If you ever have trouble playing it at playemojipop.com, like try a different browser, try refreshing it. I think refreshing it might work too. Definitely something I should look into, but you could also just play it in a different browser. Let's see. So this person left some good feedback and liked my response. So this is probably a good piece of feedback. So you say that casual players will move the match from match shooter to bubble shooters. Let's assume that will be the case. What about millions of already great bubble shooters on the market? What about Bubble Witch Sega, for example? Polished like hell and is in the market for some time already. So I talk about in the video, if this person watched it before they commented, which is a pet peeve because everyone comments before they watch a video, and I always have to tell them, watch the video. So I talk about why those games are doing it wrong. I consider Bubble Witch Sega, those games, to be broken because they follow the match 3 progression model, which doesn't work for skill-based games like Bubble Witch. It sort of works because they take out all the skill and infuse a bunch of randomness, but it's still broken because that doesn't fix the problem all the way, and it removes all of the coolest possibilities of bubble shooters. So they're not even exploring the design space at all, with skill-based mechanics, which is the game is skill-based. So I consider Bubble Witch Sega to be an inferior product to mine. I don't care how stupid the art looks to people. Mine is better than their game. You take that to the bank. What else did you say? What is the purpose of this video? Okay, it's to share my game. And to talk about what I talked about in the video. Screw Candy Crush agenda is kinda elitist. Maybe this is not the best way to market your game. Yeah, so some people like to make boring campaigns and show their video and not try to make as big of a splash possible. It's not my style. I don't take myself too seriously. Obviously, I don't think I make several billions of dollars a year, and I also mentioned that in the video. Game UI is cluttered, so I got a lot of feedback on the UI. I hate the gray bar at the bottom and I have no idea. Okay, that's a good feedback. So that's something that I hear sometimes. So in bubble shooters, which I think this person has played before, you usually don't have a gray box to aim with. So in my game at Emoji Pop, you drag your finger in this gray box. So most games don't have this gray box. And you know what happens? Players don't know how to freaking play it. So imagine this box wasn't here, and imagine you haven't played this game before. So you get to the screen, and this isn't there. What do you think to do? Most players don't think to touch the white space that's absent of anything. Most players will touch this emoji and try to drag it back or propel it forward. So I'm pretty familiar with the design of bubble shooters at this point, and I know that if I were to remove those games, people think you're doing it wrong because it's different. It's different than Bubble Witch Sega, but they don't understand that Bubble Witch Sega is doing it wrong, and that if in their playtest sessions for the game, I'm sure they have lots of people who are kind of confused about the game. And Bubble Witch Sega 3 does it better, a lot better than a lot of the other bubble shooters on the market. the way they control their games and tutorialize them, I think, is really broken as well. There's a lot of players who play it for a bit, and so the tutorial works, and they leave the game, and when they come back, which is typical of casual gamers, they don't know how to play because there's no indication of how they're supposed to be shooting it. You would think to touch this bubble, not the box. And so I need to have the box permanently there because otherwise players don't know that they're supposed to touch what the ones. If this box isn't there, there'd be not. This would be the only spot on the game where there's nothing there, and that's the place where we expect players to drag and shoot. That doesn't make any sense. Even though superficially you would think this gray box is annoying and ugly, why would you have it there? It's because otherwise players will not have no idea where to shoot often. And also the great thing about that, which you don't foresee yet, is by having a direct, obvious space for players to initiate the aiming. Most bubble shooters in the market, you aim by dragging your finger anywhere on the whole screen to aim. By restricting it to only this emoji obstacles that you can interact with. So you can shoot by hitting this box, but there's going to be emojis on the board that you're actually interacting with. And so that's really important to me because as I said, I want people to make levels that go viral. I want to make crazy features, and so if there's obstacles in the game where you're allowed to like interact with it, like maybe I could have a totally like different kind of game. Like I don't want to say like, oh, maybe I could somehow rig it so that there's like a platformer going on up here, or like you can totally different like rule sets. So that's why it's another reason why I have this gray box here, is because I want to have crazy features that you interact with on top. Like imagine like maybe card emojis where you're flipping over 2 cards each time and you're trying to make ones that match in order to clear them, and maybe you can only pick 2 cards per time. So you pick a square and you pick a square, those go away, and then you can shoot. So like, and then you could like use those obstacles and then make an entire memory game out of them, or something else that's crazy. I don't know, it's hard to describe because it's kind of abstract right now, but like that is why the gray box is there. But it makes sense. Like most of the feedback, I don't blame these people because I'm doing things so differently. I know everyone thinks it should be in the App Store. I know people think I shouldn't have the gray box there. I know people shouldn't think this and that, but I really believe in what I'm doing, and so I don't care. I'm going full steam ahead at this point, and I think it's going to be worth it. So I got a lot of these comments were good feedback. A couple of them were a little ugly. I wanted to read the ugliest ones, but they deleted them. Forget who it was. I think one guy was named like Nick for some reason, and there's another Matt Begley or something. Just there's people who will like log on and just say like, "This is dumb. You're dumb. Everything about you's dumb. You will never be smart. You suck." Like that's what literally reading it is like. It's insane. But that's okay. I'm totally used to getting that feedback from certain kinds of people in the gaming community. So that's enough for reading feedback. I think I want to do this regularly. Put something out there. Sometimes I get feedback and I really want to respond to it, but it's impossible like to have intellectual discourses with some of these people. Like, and I say like I know what I'm talking about because like I've been making these games for like half a decade now, and like really open-minded about it the whole time too. I don't know. Anyway, let's make some levels. I think I'm gonna log in so I can use some of the more complex obstacles. I'm gonna switch so you can't see me logging in. How's it going? Make sure no one's chatting. Oh, we're good. I'm trying to stream every day except for Sundays maybe. I still haven't nailed down a time. I usually end up streaming around like 11 or 12 or so. I need to pick like a schedule for sure. Should probably not chew gum during streams, huh? Again, I break all the rules, even in streams. I chew gum, I wear headphones, and I wear sunglasses. I don't care at all. Anyway, let's finish logging in. Hope everyone's doing well. Cool. So, I have this world right here because I'm at the end of the game. So we can go to the editor. And also, yeah, if you have any other feedback on my game, please let me know. I would really love to know. Especially, I hear a lot about the UI. Like, I want to know, what do you think about the UI? How should it be different? I originally had it so that you'd hit these buttons. So again, I have the UI designed at the bottom the way you can't see it. Let me move it up. So I have the bottom designed the way it is, the UI, because I'm going with the emoji phone aesthetic. What better theme for a mobile game than mobile games, than emojis, which is the personification of phones and mobile games. Basically, their emojis are like a native character to the mobile phone, and it's a mobile game. So I think this theme is amazing, and I wanted to fully delve into that. And so the bottom UI is designed to look like the bottom of an iPhone. You know how you have the home bar where you have the certain apps that are like more important or whatever. So that's why the bottom looks the way it does. Originally, I had it so that the screens kind of slide back and forth like Toon Blast, but that would require me to like have too much stuff open at the same time. So I just kind of made it go in and out. So now it looks like the animation of switching tabs. It's meant to look like when you close an app in the App Store or you minimize it, it kind of shrinks down to where it was on the screen. So that's why that looks the way it does. I totally see arguments for making this better. I don't have experience in UI design or art or anything like that. This is just me, just doing the best I can, kind of, at all these things at UI design and art. But I would love feedback and stuff. So I've put myself far in the game, so I have all these obstacles unlocked. So to start off, let's start off with the Space Invader emoji. So to use the Space Invader emoji, I click it in the UI, and then I can select a color for the Space Invader, and then I can place it on the board. And you can do this from your computer with a mouse or with your touchscreen on your mobile device. So let me put some of these here. And the most important emoji in the game are these smiley faces, the face emojis. Because those are what determine what colors you're going to be in the level, basically. And you can hit this pencil button for the eraser. Let me put that thing in again. And I'm gonna remove one of these from the ends, and we're just gonna see what it does. So the Space Invader emoji is inspired by the space. It's an actual emoji in the iPhone and stuff like that, and it is it's inspired, literally the way it works is inspired by Space Invaders, the game. So in Space Invaders, the Space Invaders move side to side. They usually go down, but not in this one. And so this is a skill-based emoji because you're kind of trying to time it right for when you hit the Space Invaders. So right now, oops. So they go side to side, and right now they're not like lining up any matches, but that's the fun way to use them. So let me show you. So if I have green Space Invaders that kind of sometimes connect with the green match based moment that the player can do correctly to save moves, and I'll have one for the red as well. And I'll put the yellow here. So now the way I've laid them out, this is kind of like the appeal of this obstacle is sometimes they connect with the matches above them and sometimes they don't, and so you're just kind of trying to time it right. And then let me just save this first. And then on top of that, we can change the mode to be auto scroll, and let's pick a speed of 4. So I test it out and it scrolls down. So not only am I trying to time it right, but I only have a limited amount of time to do it. And if the emojis are past the bottom for too long, the shoe will come down and crush me. So these I'm just kind of displaying the skill-based, time-based appeal of using these kinds of elements in your levels. Now let's kind of design a whole level with this in mind. I like I like the combination of it moving side to side and also the clock ticking down as it goes down. So let's kind of keep going with that. I like 3 colors in the level. An important thing to decide when you're making a level is how many colors to use, because if you have a lot of colors, it's a very different gameplay experience than if there's only 2 colors, for example. And I could get into that, why that is, if anyone's curious. Checking the chat. Cool. It's awesome that I got someone to chat with me on Twitch. I normally don't get many people watching me on there yet. I've been putting the game in the Emoji Pop category, which you can stream on. The Emoji Pop is a listed game on Twitch, except I'm the only one streaming it, obviously, right now. So it's hard to kind of get people to watch a game that no one knows exists. So right now I think I'm in just chatting on Twitch. I'm pretty new to streaming, so if anyone watching has any advice for me, let me know. I swear I have an open mind, even though when reading this feedback, sometimes I make some jokes. Let's go back to the game. Drink some water. Also, level design is such it's a productive. I love when I grew up. I loved making things. Playing video games is fun. I did that sometimes, but my real love was making things, and so that's why I love video games where it feels like you're making a game. So I love games like even like City Skylines, like those kind of simulation kind of games. Even those feel like I'm making something. I don't feel like I'm problem solving as much as I'm like just being creative. And so games like Emoji Pop, it's so relaxing, and I love making fun little things and seeing how I can push the boundaries and sharing it online and seeing what people think of it. Like this is like one of my loves, and it's especially awesome to like listen to some music and kind of zone out and just make something when you kind of don't have something to do in a moment. So I'm just saying that I'm going to be putting on some music. I recommend that. I've been listening to a lot of Spoon recently. Let me check the chat. Feel free to ask me any questions about the game. Oh, we got another comment. I like listening to your ideas and your thought processes as a fellow game developer. That is awesome. Oh, cool. You're giving me UI advice. I'm glad that you like listening to me and my thought processes. I feel like my thinking on this stuff is really different, and many people maybe don't think about this kind of game design. So it's awesome that you like it and you like hearing it. I really love talking to people about it because I never talk to anyone about this stuff. So it's awesome that you like that. But you need to rework the UI. It's very hard on the eyes, and it will deter many players, myself included. I recommend remaking all of the UI 3 to 4 times and picking the best versions. I think that's a really good advice. Take UI inspiration from other games in the market. Yeah, so I've gotten this feedback so often that I've explained why it's designed the way it is. It was kind of trying to make it look like an iPhone kind of thing, since it's like trying to push the phone aesthetic everywhere. But I've gotten a lot of feedback a lot. I think that makes sense. Maybe I should look more like, I'm wondering, is it just like the buttons need to look prettier? Like, are they laid out kind of correctly? They just needs to like look of a better quality graphics, because I'm thinking about games like Toon Blast, and I think their UI is laid out the same way as mine, kind of, where like there's in a lot of these games there's just buttons on the bottom and you just switch between them. But maybe I'm wrong, but it would make sense that maybe it just doesn't look good. Like, I'm so close to it that I could see myself looking over stuff like that. It doesn't look like the phone yet, but you can get it there. Okay, I'm glad that maybe you'd like that maybe idea. I'm gonna work to improve that. I would love your feedback in the future once I improve it. So I really love making this game. Like, some people criticize me for putting the game out there too early, but I'm like, I want to put it out there before it's ready. I'm making a game that's supposed to teach people how to game design and get people involved in like creating games. And so I want to put it out there as early as possible and get feedback from people like you, Matt Man, who like give me feedback and say, oh, maybe this. Like, I want it to be like a player-made game. Like, I don't want to exploit players, and I want to go to the degree of like uplifting them and like actually like help having them like not only design levels in the game but actually like help make the game itself. So really love that feedback. Thank you so much. Please follow me on Twitch if you're watching me on Twitch, because I would love to get your feedback every time I kind of put out a new iteration of it. It seems like you have really good advice and you're good at like relaying that information. So let's go back to making this level. Feel free to ask me any questions about the game. I made it all using JavaScript if anyone's curious about like its coding or anything like that. Alright, so we're gonna make an alien invader level that scrolls. I'm gonna use 3 colors so that there's not too many choices, because if it's scrolling and there's like 6 different colors and everything's moving, that's gonna be like too many choices. I think it's gonna be too much pressure. But by having 3 colors and having it be a tighter level, I think it's gonna be possible for players to like feel like they're constantly doing better than failure. I didn't describe that well, but we'll go into it later. So when I make a level, sometimes I start off with a really clear idea of what I want the level to be, and sometimes I just put some stuff on the board and see how it plays, and that will lead me to an actual level. So I recommend don't spend an hour making a level. If you have an idea, make a core example of your idea, like a basic like a small puzzle that kind of involves your idea. Make the intro to your level, make the conclusion to your level. Don't make the whole level at once. And sometimes if you don't know what to do, just put some stuff that's interesting, like design a level a certain way and just make random choices, and when you play it, by your play session, it's going to tell you like, oh, like this was a factor that like made it not so fun. I could probably use this emoji obstacle and then that would make it all better. Or maybe, oh, that tells me I could change the way matches look, and I think that would make an interesting mechanic, and I think that would actually make the level good. So usually playtest sessions are what inspire your good levels. Checking the chat, cool. Let me make sure I have Facebook open. You can chat with me on there too. Okay, so back to level editing. I want green here. Let's have red here. So I want to make it so that these at least sometimes line up with what's above them. The reds are always touching. The greens are going to be touching this green match half the time. And the yellow is never going to touch this yellow. Maybe I can add a yellow here. And I'll add a red here. So now yellows are going to be touching sometimes, greens will be touching. So let's add another row of Space Invaders. I think that would be cool. Let's start from the right hand side. Let's do yellows so that it'll sometimes maybe touch this yellow up here. So these yellows will go to the left and these will go to the right, and then they'll form a big mash together. Maybe I want these reds touching sometimes. And let's have greens here, but I want to leave a space here so that if I were to put a green here, this row wouldn't move. There would be no room to go left and right. They all moved as a single row together. So that's why I want this empty. You don't have to save. You can kind of just test it, but I like just to save frequently. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Oh god. Cool. So I made that in like a couple minutes. There's a core appeal there. There's like a core, the adrenaline of racing the clock and trying to, you have this, the time pressure of it scrolling down is conveying to you, I need to make a match as quickly as possible. But mechanically, the way the alien emojis go side to side, it's telling you, oh, I have to wait until the perfect moment. So you have something telling you, hurry, 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 and then you have the invaders telling you, oh, wait for the perfect time. So I like the tension between those two elements. That's like diving really deep into the psychology of that, but I think that makes for a really fun experience, basically. Let's go back to editing. And let's add some more rows. So now I'm wondering, do I want to have a row of solid emojis that are still? Or do I want to have Space Invaders that go side to side? My thinking is, if I add another row of colors here, I feel like there's going to be so much that the player can just knock out. Like, if I put reds, yellow, greens here, like, I feel like you can, like, kind of clear, like, the whole board in a couple moves, you know? So I'm thinking maybe I have some emojis that are color agnostic, I like to say. So that means these are bubble wraps. the things that you kind of pop and they make a popping noise. So by having a row of these, it might make it interesting. Like you have to break through quickly and then make more matches, and it'll split up the level into different sections so that they're not all like clearing at once, which is going to happen in a 3-color level. So that's my theory. We're going to use the scientific method to put it to the test. Let's add some alien invader emojis, but let's try to outline them in a way that's a little different. Checking the chat. We're good. Wish I could play my music through the stream. So let's do this. I want to do it differently. So there weren't many gaps up here. Let me maybe make smaller pairs. Yellow, green, red. Red here. Yellow here. Not really sure. I feel like I should have... Maybe I should make it bigger. And I want to have more green, yellow, red. And let's do one more row for now. Green, yellow, red. So these, I'm not really making them line up. Maybe that won't be fun because there's not gonna be giant clusters of matches. We're just gonna put it to the test. I'm gonna save it, test it out. So sometimes they do make bigger matches. That's cool. Oh wow, it gets really intense at the end. Okay, so that got a little too hard at the end. I feel like it's moving too fast. So let's fix that. We go to the edit tab. Also, doesn't it look like I'm like an angel with the white background, like kind of saturating like the outlines of me? Just random thought. Anyway, in the edit tab, we go to mode, and we've already selected the auto scroll. We can change the speed. Let's go down a notch. Test it out. So it's going slower. It's still got pressure, but it's not like when I was at this point, it was like I was in crisis mode. Saw a little bug. So this is a unreleased emoji, so there might be little bugs still. So another thing I'm wondering is there's so much emphasis on the timing that I think the problem will be at the end. You have to like make the matches with these 3 different colors. I think that could be difficult. One thing I'm thinking of, like, it seemed a little like frustrating at the end. Like I could see that being frustrating at the end, like dealing with the timing and having to make these really. At the end, you're really forced to make these really precise matches that are really critical to your success. So my idea with this is I'm going to go to edit and I'm going to change the number of rows. I'm going to add rows to the top. Done. What I'm going to do is there's basically 2 kinds of tops. There's the tops where you make all the colored matches at the top. And then there's the tops where you're just trying to get to the top. And then once you get to the top anywhere, the whole thing collapses. And so we can do that by using soap. So bubble wraps and soaps are similar. They pop when you hit them with any color. The difference is bubble wraps, they pop individually, whereas these soaps, these soap bubbles connect and they form a giant soap bubble. So that's why this whole thing, the whole puzzle will drop the second I hit this soap. I'm gonna erase these little emojis on the side. And we need to add the colored emojis to the level though. Otherwise, if we don't add green, yellow, and red emojis, you won't get green, yellow emojis in your bucket. Once you clear all the faces of the color, that color will be eliminated. So that's why we need to have them there. If you're new to the stream, go to playemojipop.com and you can play this game for free online. You can create an account, save your levels, and share them for the entire world to play. Literally the entire world. And please send them to me in this chat for the stream or on Twitter. which is at Eldon Woodbury, and I will play them. If you want, I can play it privately, but I would love to play it live on the stream for everyone to play, and I can give you feedback. Every level everyone makes, no matter how good you are at this stuff, I'm gonna have feedback for you because I've made thousands of these levels, and I'm gonna have feedback for everyone. So I think it's a really important way of getting better at game design, and hearing feedback and responding to it. It also is just a good practice, and if I really like your level, I'll feature it in the game. So if you're waiting for your moves to regenerate or whatever, I'm gonna have levels, the best levels in the game that players have made. I'm gonna have those appear. And if you're interested in streaming the game, I'm also working on adding the streamers in the game listed so that you can see who's live and watch them make levels or whatever. So I've changed the top to be an instant drop like we talked about. But I do kind of want another row of Space Invaders at the top. So I'm trying to think of the best way to do that. Let's just test it as is first. Green. So you want to keep the level going because you want to see what are the possible matches I can make so I make the best decision, but you also are so limited on time. I really love that. Tests. You're kind of more encouraged. Oh, so that was a good one. So sometimes you have good matches, sometimes you don't. I think that swing adds a lot to the replayability. Oh god. So I'm just trying to get to the top. It's stressful, but I know I can get to the top if I can just clear. And last second, I cleared the soap to win. That felt good. Let's see if I can make it a bit longer without boring or frustrating players. Oops. Dang it. This is a great game to share to anyone who's interested in learning game design at all or interested in it. I use this game all the time to teach my classes of kids. I teach programs, coding, and game design, and I usually use this to introduce kids to core game design principles, and they love being able to instantly make these little games and share them with everyone. It's I'm trying to figure out how to reach that audience more. Fix that. So I'm thinking we have bubble wraps here. Maybe I should have a solid row here. And I'm thinking this intro will be used to really emphasize making these cluster matches. So I want to make sure there's as many of them as possible. So I'm going to do that by going to my Space Invaders. I want yellows touching here. I want reds here. Maybe greens. So I really want to make sure there's lots of bulky matches. Yellow. So this will go to the right and form a super juicy match. Because they also have to kind of clear these bubble wraps, so it's going to be kind of time consuming. Red, green, and this will kind of go left. This will kind of go 3 to the right and 3 to the left, and this row will go left, right, left 2, right 2, and so by having them on different orientations, I think that'll mix up the matches kind of, if that makes sense. Let me make sure no one's asking me, saying anything. When will you add the eggplant emoji? That I would love to add that if I can think of a mechanical use for it. So let me know. It could I don't know how graphic I want to get, but it could the eggplant could shoot stuff out or something. I don't know. I want to add the poop emoji, I think. I don't know if that's interesting to anybody. I think it'd be cool. I don't know. Since it's kind of an iconic one, right? Maybe I should add the peach as well. Or I can make an adult version of the game. LOL. Good comment. Thanks for commenting on the Twitch stream. I love having people to talk to while I make these levels and stuff. Let's save it and test it. So if you kind of wait out, you can kind of get these big matches in. That feels good. So I feel like that's a really great introduction to what you should be looking out in this level. Oh god, oh god, oh, this is intense. I love this level. I love this obstacle for that reason, and this mode too. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh god, oh god, oh, I'm barely squeaking by. So that feels so awesome. It's like this really tight little race to the top. I'm going to share that. So if you go to my Twitter in a moment, I'm going to be, I tweeted like an hour ago that I was doing the stream, and in the comments I will comment the link to that level. So if you want to play it on your own, I would love to know if you're able to complete it. I'll also comment it in the Facebook chat. I'm just doing on Twitter first. So I'm gonna say, here's the first level we made, exclamation mark. Here's the link, tweet. And so this is just to show people how easy. I made this level in like 10 minutes. I think it's super fun, and everyone in the world can play it immediately. Although this game is simpler, maybe you could say, than Mario Maker and stuff, I think that alone makes it so cool that you could share it immediately with the entire world from any device. I think that is, I don't think I've really heard of that being done before. I'd love to know if I'm wrong on that though. I'm also gonna comment it on the stream. So on Facebook, if you're watching it, I'm gonna say, here's the first level we made. And I don't want to mess with it anymore. You could make it longer, of course, but if it's too long, I would feel like players would, I think players would like maybe think it's too tedious or something. But maybe if you have in your mind an audience for your level that's way more skill based and wants the hard levels, I think you could make it really long and make it this really intense challenge that like maybe only a small fraction of your players would beat. I think that could be a cool challenge to have for your audiences, since you can share these levels directly on your social media accounts. Yeah, cool. So I'm gonna wrap up soon. Let me show you one cool obstacle that I haven't shown you on the stream yet. And let's see. I want to show you a level that I think is cool. I like these siren emojis because they are constantly changing colors. Oh, and I have one. Let's try this one. This one's constantly scrolling down. So you're trying to like you're like, do I wait until like another move because there might be something better? Oh, so that was a huge one. Go right away. And so, I messed up. So I could have won that pretty easily. So that was a good design. I've made so many of these levels. I like these spider webs. They're not like super skill based, but they really change the way the game plays. So that's what I'm saying. There's all these emojis. They all change the game so much. So, for example, all the way up till this point in the game, you're playing with like these gaps. I don't know. You're playing a certain way, and now you have spider emojis. And so the way spiders emojis work is you no longer have to make everything connected. So normally these face emojis all have to be connected together and connected all the way to the top. But this allows me to use empty space as a gameplay mechanic. So these spider webs hold everything up, and I can shoot through them. So let me show you. So for example, usually you're making matches to make progress. Not anymore. Now sometimes you're just shooting through empty space. And so shooting these spider webs will allow me to go up. So it really changes totally changes the kinds of puzzles you can make. And there's like a million of these emojis I've made already that I'm still introducing to the game every week. And there's a million more that I have in mind that are like even way crazier. Like I talked about how I want to have emojis on the board that you can interact with. So I can have like, you can have like games that are totally different than puzzle. It won't even be a puzzle game sometimes. The things we make. So I'm like super excited. I want players to be able to make like what's that game? Asteroid? Oh no, Missile Command, where you have like little things coming down. You have to fire up. Like I want you to be able to make like almost any kind of like shootery kind of puzzle game. Like no matter what the genre is. That's my like overall long term goal. These TVs, I think they're all right. What happens is you hit one, and they'll all change that color. So if I hit this blue, these will all turn blue, and will make matches that are blue next to them. So now so you kind of want to. It takes a lot of strategy. So if I hit this with yellow, both of these make yellow matches. But if I hit this with purple, these turn purple, and it makes this big drop. So you definitely want to hit with the purple. So that's like way more strategic emphasis. You can make levels with TVs that are like more casual, or you can make them like really really puzzly, where you have to like think through every combination or whatever. So you can also make levels that are really thin. You can. I don't think that other bubble shooters in the market do this. I think they're always the same size, which I don't know why they restrict themselves like that. You can make levels that are really wide or really narrow, and that totally changes the way the game plays as well. So it's really good for these like pressure levels, because if it was big, there's like too much to do in order to get to the top. But by using a smaller game board, it allows me to make a puzzle that is small enough to work with that time pressure mode. That mode was inspired, actually. I think bubble shooters were way cooler back like in the early 2000s. I think they've kind of gone downhill, at least in terms of gameplay. I used to play a game called Dynamite on Yahoo Games, and it had a time pressure mode like that. And when it got too low, it would start like flashing red, and you would have like 2 seconds to fix it. Otherwise, a dinosaur foot comes out and crushes you. So in my game, I totally was inspired by that, and that's why I have like a shoe come down to hit you instead of a dinosaur foot, obviously. Let me just check the chat one more time to make sure no more questions or comments. Oh, we got some comments. Look at your buttons compared to these polished buttons. Something to strive for. Those buttons are nice and clean. Yours are rough. Cool. Let me open that up. Thank you again for commenting. Yeah, so I see what you're saying. They are a lot more polished, these buttons. Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, cool, you can see it. I was afraid you weren't going to be able to see it. Matt Man PST, thanks for sharing this. So he's saying that I should, like, the top buttons are my UI kind of buttons, and I'm using like labels on top of buttons. They're not like fully artified. But yeah, you're right. These buttons do look really good. I should do a UI pass. I think you guys are making some good points. I think you've convinced me I need to do a UI pass. I think that would be cool. That's something I should think about. It's also like weighing, like, do I focus on gameplay stuff? Do I focus on UI stuff and art stuff? I'm getting a lot of feedback about the art stuff, so maybe I should put more emphasis on that stuff for now. Thanks for sharing that. I would love for you to follow me on however you want to follow me, and I would love if you ever have any more feedback on that, especially after I might even reach out to you about what you think about it after I make those changes or whatever. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for commenting. You've been super helpful, giving me someone to talk to while I do this. Thanks for watching me do this stream. I think I'm going to be streaming every day except for Sunday, and I think I do it around like 11 o'clock. I haven't pinned down the time I want to do it yet but this 11 o'clock to 1 kind of works for me, at least for now. I can see myself. I'm also considering like coding the game live. I don't know if anyone's interested in that or not. I'd love to know what you think about that. I don't know if anyone's interested in that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Feel free to play the game at playemojipop.com. Send me your levels. I would love to give you feedback. I think that's how you become a great Emoji Pop level designer. And my hope is to help people get jobs in the industry, honestly. I think there's nothing you can do better for someone. Entertaining someone is cool, but if you can economically empower them, which I think some people will scoff at, but I really do believe that by training players in this level design, you can get a job making these kinds of levels and get paid for it in the industry. that's what happened to me. So I definitely want to do that. I want to give players that same experience I had. Thanks again for watching, and I followed on Twitch daily while I work during the day. DM if you want. Awesome, I will definitely do that. Thanks so much for following. I'll see all of you tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching and playing Emoji Pop. I really appreciate it.